Welcome to the Social Change Diaries, the show that looks behind the curtain at everything you want to know about the social justice and nonprofit landscape. I'm your host, Vanessa Wakeman. I'm very excited about today's episode of the Social Change Diaries. I have the pleasure of interviewing Ai-jen Poo, Director of the National Domestic Workers Alliance and the co-director of the Caring Across Generations campaign. I first met Ai-jen during the early days of the Wakeman Agency, I believe somewhere around 2005, and have followed her work and have been totally inspired by her efforts. I had an opportunity to hear her speak at an event last year and knew that I wanted to have her as a guest for the first season of the podcast, and today is the day. Ai-jen has been organizing immigrant women workers for over 2 decades, forging pathways to sustainable quality jobs for the caregiving workforce, and working to ensure access to affordable care for the nation's aging populations. Ai-jen is a 2014 MacArthur Fellow and was named one of the world's greatest leaders by Forbes. She is the author of The Age of Dignity, Preparing for the Elder Boom in a Changing America. Ai-jen, you've made so many contributions, and your career over the past decades has really been about transforming the way we care for caregivers. And I'm curious as to when in your career did you recognize that your ideas and expertise could be transformative? There's certainly all of the elements of thought leadership sort of sprinkled throughout the journey that I've been able to observe. But I'd love to hear from you, like at what point you had that moment where you felt your understanding of the issue or, what you were observing, there were opportunities for you to provide guidance and vision and leadership to help catalyze people towards a movement and creating progress around this.
It's a great question. I think the interesting thing about me is that I've never done anything alone. I'm always in the context of a really powerful group of women, domestic workers and caregivers. And so all the ideas and the vision and the strategy really come from our collective energy, and collective body. And that gives me all kinds of strength and courage. And sometimes I think we overthink it, right, as women. Yes. And the benefit of doing things in a collective context is that you don't overthink stuff, right? Because we're trained to kind of make sure that to have a lot of insecurities and self-doubt. One of the things that working in group contexts helps us do is to kind of not be so concerned about that, right? And so I think that I've benefited from a collective courage that makes me ambitious and makes me want to get my ideas out there because they're not just mine, but they're all of ours. And so I think that that's kind of an unfair advantage I have.
Well, I think that's a really great advantage to have. And I think it's important to find your tribe, as you mentioned, sort of doing things in community. The people you're advocating on behalf of are primarily women. And how does that influence how you shape your thought leadership or how you move forward?
No, I think it matters absolutely. One of my goals in life is to elevate the ideas and the vision and the strategy of women, particularly the women who are least visible and most vulnerable in our society and our economy. And, people often will ask us for our stories or ask us about our experiences, but they never come to us for the solutions and the ideas and the strategy, right? And so that's my goal, is to change the context of social change work so that people are coming to women of color and working class women or low income women for the solutions and the way forward.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying this week's episode of the Social Change Diaries. I want to interrupt for just a moment to let you know about a contest we're doing to kick off the launch of our show. We're really excited about the launch of the Social Change Diaries. I've personally spent the last 14 years as the founder and CEO of the Wakeman Agency, a social change agency working to amplify the voices of mission-driven causes and the people that lead them. Our podcast is a platform to share our experiences and insights with a wider audience. In honor of the launch of the podcast, we're doing a contest. One winner will be gifted registration to our She Roars Masterclass, our online thought leadership training for women in nonprofits. For 8 weeks, you will spend time with me and other agents of change from the nonprofit community working to build your thought leadership. You can see details about She Roars at thoughtleadershipforwomen.com. I'm really excited about the contest and providing this opportunity to our lucky winner. Now, here's how you can win. Just 3 simple steps. First, subscribe to our podcast in iTunes. Second, leave a review in iTunes letting us know what you think of the podcast. And 3, take a screenshot of the review and send it to us at podcast@thewakemanagency.com. The winner will be notified on November 15th and enrolled in the spring program. All right, let's get back to the show. In my work, I've spent a lot of time working with leaders. And when we're working with men, it's almost a given that they want to get their ideas and thinking out there and they want to be more visible. But with women, I find that we are working within a different framework and concerned about the value of our contributions and insights, and if we're going to be taken seriously and if we're going to get support. For you, when do you feel most vulnerable in your work, and how do you manage that?
It's so interesting that you asked this question because I just gave a speech last night at the University of Hawaii. It was a keynote for a chair position that I have right now in democratic ideals. And at the end of the speech, I cried in front of a room full of hundreds of people. I got very emotional. I was overcome by emotion and felt really passionate about what I was talking about. And I literally cried. And the whole room was, I think, taken aback. And then I felt really insecure and vulnerable after that. And then I texted a friend saying, I can't believe I just did that. And she texted back, vulnerability is transformational. And I just have to remember that. You know, I think we as women always second guess ourselves. And we never see vulnerability as a strength, but it absolutely is. And it has to do with the models for leadership and strength that we're used to seeing. And I think we have to democratize the vision of what it means to be a strong leader, and then start to really live into this idea that being emotional and having emotional intelligence and emotional connection with people is really powerful dimension of leadership that we frankly could use more of.
What a great answer. What a wonderful answer. And I think it's so true what you say about vulnerability being transformational. I see it all the time. Like when people are connecting to you authentically, something changes and shifts and a connection is built. So I think that's really pivotal in a thought leadership journey. Ai-jen, what motivates you to continue this fight? For me, I see thought leadership as a continuum, and unfortunately, you're never done. Either you pass the baton and you let someone else sort of continue to champion the issue, or you are consistently refining your thinking, because typically as progress happens, then you are confronted with new challenges and things to ponder. So what motivates you to continue this fight?
What motivates me is all the incredibly talented women that I meet doing this work, from the domestic workers and caregivers that I meet to the young activists and women who want to make the world a better place or want to do something about this political moment that we're in. I want to create more platforms for those women to change the world. And I think that there's all this brilliance that is underutilized because we undervalue the leadership and the potential of women. And I want to create organizations and platforms and vehicles for women to fully unleash their power in the service of a better world. And I will say that I think right now in particular, the leadership of women is really, really needed. We are dealing with an existential crisis in our democracy. We are in the kind of movement moment that our kids and our grandkids will ask us about. They will ask us, where were we when? And what did we do? And I want to do everything I can to make sure that we have a good answer and that women are able to really lead the way forward in this period.
So as you know, we launched She Roars in September of last year. And really the goal was to work with women who wanted to leverage their ideas and expertise and build a thought leadership platform. Our goal is to support 2020 women in developing their thought leadership by the year 2020. And so clearly we've got some work to do. But what advice would you give to someone who has something to share and wants to become a thought leader? They want to sort of yield influence around a particular issue or topic, but they're scared or nervous or hesitant or facing doubt around how they take those next steps and what the value of what they have to say is in, the ecosystem of their universe.
I would say to keep your mentors close and keep a kitchen cabinet around you of people that you love and who love you unconditionally, but who have really different points of view. And when something happens, or you're facing a big challenge, or you're getting criticized for something, take it to your kitchen cabinet and to your mentors and say, what of this do I really need to listen to and learn from? And what of it is, jealousy or whatever it is that unfortunately comes to leaders. But I can't overstate how important it's been to me to have my mentors close and people who have a long-term, long-view perspective and know that, and can help give us perspective that working with people and doing this work is a marathon and human beings are a work in progress, and we should just anticipate that on the front end.
I hope you enjoyed our time with Ai-jen. I loved what she shared about being vulnerable. And I encourage each of you to think about the role of vulnerability as you develop your platform. It's a space where your truth lives, and that's a great place to begin. It's a great opportunity for you to connect with your audience and share your ideas and experiences authentically. Well, that's it for this episode. To learn more about She Roars and the 2020 Project, visit thewakemanAgency.com. Thanks for joining.